To U.S. politics now, Donald Trump is warning of riots if he gets to the Republican convention with most delegates but does not get the nomination. Trump says that even if he falls short of a majority, there could be trouble if he isn't automatically made the nominee. Meantime, Fox News has cancelled Monday's Republican debate after Trump said he would not take part. The billionaire businessman has been extremely critical of negative ads against him, but he had no problem posting this video on Instagram attacking Hillary Clinton, showing the Democratic frontrunner barking like a dog.
Israeli Day Parade.
Okay, well, for more, we're joined by Democratic strategist Dave Jacobson, Republican consultant John Thomas. It was a funny ad. Okay, first up, though, I really want to play the soundbite from Donald Trump talking about the riots if he doesn't get the nomination. Listen to this.
If we're 20 votes short, or if we're 100 short, and we're at 1,100 and somebody else is at 500 or 400, because we're way ahead of everybody, I don't think you can say that we don't get it automatically. I think you'd have riots.
Okay, you know, there's always a fine line between a warning and a threat. Okay, so where does that stand? Is it a threat? Is it a warning?
It's not the right language. I mean, that kind of language is going to tee up his voters who are already charged up and think the establishment is going to take the nomination from Donald Trump. It's not the right language, but truthfully, his voters, whether they physically riot or just defect from the party in protest, that is a possibility. And the police did get riot gear for the convention.
Actually, I'm going to get to that in a minute, but...
Look, clearly he's a bully, but I think it's doing real damage to the dialogue that we're having in the context of a presidential campaign, particularly for people who are looking at this race abroad. I think the reality is this guy is increasingly becoming a dictator in the way that he's running his campaign. You know, he told Fox today that he wasn't going to do the next week's debate, right? And then John Kasich immediately followed his lead and sort of dropped out of that, and then Fox had to cancel the debate. So clearly, like, you know, he's driving the conversation and he's dictating his rules in how this presidential campaign is going to be run.
Okay, now a lot of talk that this is now on the Republican side heading to a contested, brokered, or open convention. Call it what you will. They're going to get there, and they're going to be a lot of horse trading, and the nomination will be declared open. So if it does come to that, you know, we heard from the former Republican Speaker of the House, John Boehner, who basically said that, you know, if no one gets the numbers, then he would like the current Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, to be the nominee. And this is what Paul Ryan had to say about that.
I actually think you should run for president if you're going to be president, if you want to be president. I'm not running for president. I made that decision consciously not to. I haven't given any thought to this stuff. People say, what about the contested convention? I said, well, there are a lot of people running for president. We'll see. Who knows?
We'll see. Who knows? I mean, this is a guy who also said, I don't want to be Speaker of the House.
Right.
He's Speaker of the House.
Right.
So is this a possibility, sort of a Paul Ryan, John Kasich ticket?
You can't rule anything out. I mean, if this cycle's taught us anything, it's that you just don't know. I would highly doubt it. I mean, if Trump has to win 40 to 46% of the remaining delegates between now and the convention, and if he does, he's the walk-away winner at this thing. And
I thought that was a polarity. I thought he had to get 57% from this point on.
He does, but if he gets over 40%, he's going to have such momentum going into this convention. I just don't know how they don't give it to him. Look, anything can happen, but I think that scenario is very unlikely with the Speaker.
You don't think Paul Ryan's their safety net?
Well, I think he has an equal shot of becoming the Republican nominee that Mitt Romney does. I heard even right.
Okay, so none of them.
Right, but I did hear
Bernie Sanders.
Right, exactly. But I did hear, in fact, that there is sort of now talk again about a potential third-party run by some other Republican, some sort of establishment type. If John Kasich can't, you know, continue to sort of collect more delegates, there have been those sort of conversations behind the smoke-filled rooms, you know, and behind closed doors. So I think, you know, that's part of the narrative now, unfortunately.
I find that third-party stuff fascinating because normally, you know, it's the rebels break away from the party. You know, they form.
Now the party's breaking away to control the rebels.
Exactly. You know, so what's going on here?
Well, I think at some point the establishment needs to learn they can't control this process. They can try whatever shenanigans. They're not in control because look at the last two serious remaining candidates are not establishment figures. Ted Cruz is hated by the Senate colleagues. He has to figure out how he can bring them in. And obviously, Donald Trump is detested by 60% of the Republican Party. I don't think he's part of the establishment either.
Right. Okay, we heard from Hillary Clinton. She went after Donald Trump on Tuesday night in her victory speech. Now we've got this campaign ad from Donald Trump with the barking attacking her. So effectively, have we now pivoted to the general election at this point?
Indeed, we have. The gloves are off. It's bare knuckle general election campaign politics. I mean, and this underscores the fact that Donald Trump is going to do whatever it takes. He's going to get into the mud and start mudslinging immediately to do whatever it takes to win this race. And I think, Hillary has to go into the general election with that mindset and that mentality to sort of, compete with him on that level, because at the end of the day, there's a lot at stake in this election, and Democrats, got to do everything they can to win.
Hillary Clinton is considered one of the most admired women in the world. Can Donald Trump...
According to who?
According to a lot of polls out there.
Sure, okay. Well,
she's also, a lot of people don't like her,
negative,
but she polls consistently high as one of the most admired women in the world, and she has for year after year after year. But my point is, can Donald Trump Donald Trump Hillary Clinton and not come off as someone who's trying to bully a grandma?
Well, I don't think, first of all, I don't think Hillary Clinton is a grandma that you feel sorry for. She's a very powerful woman, multi-millionaire. I think if anyone can do it, Donald Trump can. And quite frankly, Hillary is not good when she's off script. And if there's any candidate on the Republican side that can get someone off script, it's Donald Trump.
Yeah. My question for you, though, about Bernie Sanders. Everyone admires Bernie Sanders. He has run this upstart campaign. He has done better than anybody could have ever imagined. There's a lot of love for him right now in the Democrat Party. When does that dissipate and they say, okay, Bernie, you've made your point, it's time to drop out? When does that pressure start coming on?
I think from the establishment and from the Clinton world, that conversation already started weeks ago. I mean, he had this enormous upset victory in Michigan that sort of created a little bit of momentum going into the Super Tuesday 3.0. But the reality is he lost every state yesterday. He needs to win something like 69% of the delegates moving forward to tie Hillary Clinton in terms of delegates. So at this point, the window has closed for Bernie Sanders. I think now at this point, it's less about sort of winning the battle for delegates, and it's more about winning the war in terms of message and sort of anchoring Hillary Clinton to the left, continuing to have that dialogue on the income inequality issue, and making sure it's part of the Democratic Party platform at convention time.
But there are consequences if Bernie stays in the race, because they continue to burn through cash. He continues to attack Clinton. He continues to try to bring her down. Yeah,
last night Hillary finally stomped on Bernie Sanders' throat. I mean, that was it. And if Bernie Sanders thinks he has a strategy for victory, I mean, he's wrong. He needs to go get checked for early onset of Alzheimer's, because it is. I mean, it's bad if he thinks he can go forward. Dave's 100% right. The only reason he keeps moving forward is, what else does he have to do? He's got the cash from the small donors, and he wants to extract something from Hillary at the convention.
Okay. We'll talk to you guys again next hour. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Always fun, always a pleasure. Thank you. And we have lots more on Donald Trump still to come. The billionaire businessman likes to take shots at China. Up to the break, we'll see how